Hi, this is Dave from Candid, and today we are going to review how to connect Zapier to your Candid account. Zapier, if you're unfamiliar, is a third-party app that acts as sort of duct tape between Candid and a bunch of other apps, like whether it's your CRM, your calendar, your Slack, Google Sheets, whatever you want to do. With a Zapier account, you can connect Candid so that certain events, whether it's customer creation, order approval, invoice payment, those signals can get sent through Zapier into the other app of your choosing and potentially multiple destinations. So you can get a notification, you can have rows added to a spreadsheet, all sorts of good stuff. It's a very handy tool, but it takes a couple of steps to set up. So I want to walk through those today. Let's start by sharing my screen. Here at help.candidwholesale.com, we have an article that walks through these steps. So if you prefer to read rather than watch, by all means, I'll just be covering the same information that's there, but in a little more detail. So let's go to our Candid account where you're going to find this. The first thing you got to do is go down to integrations here in the lower left-hand corner. And as you scroll down, you'll see Zapier. And you're going to want to get the API key. You're going to need this to connect. I'm going to copy that. And you'll only need this the first time you connect Candid to Zapier. Then if you don't have a Zapier account, you can click this link here to activate Zapier. Otherwise, if you do, or if you just want to go to zapier.com, you don't have to sign up through Candid. You just need a Zapier account to make this all work. So what would you like to automate? You can do the natural language stuff, but I'm just going to show you how to do it manually. The thing you're going to create are called zaps. So a zap is a connection between multiple applications in Zapier. Again, I'm going to ignore Copilot here, and I'm going to set up the trigger and the action. These are kind of the two steps of any zap that you run. The trigger is basically the thing that happens, and then the action is the thing that you want to make happen automatically. So for trigger, we'll click on this, and we're going to pick Candid Wholesale. If you don't see it at the top of your list, you can type Candid, and we'll show up there. And if it's your first time, you're going to need to, and maybe it'll ask me to do it again this time. Nope, I'm already connected. But this is where you would paste your API key from over here. If it says it's connected, you're good to go here. Trigger event, let's do, there's a bunch of them here. Let's do order approved, because that's a nice, easy, clean one. So we're in the setup tab, and now we continue onto the test tab. We're going to test the trigger. And so what this does is it pings Candid, and it's going to get the most recent approved order. And here are all the fields that are in there. So we're seeing that's great. It's got like quite a lot. Basically all the information that you would get in an order export is here. And so now the next thing you're going to want to do here, and forgive me, I had it in another tab. 1 second while I grab this again. I've created a plain old Google Sheet that I'm calling Candid Zap Test 001. Let's have it in here. And so the thing you got to do here is you need to sort of call your shots in a sense. Like basically you need to add a header column for each one of these fields that you want to have come over, and you need it to match exactly. So we don't have to do all of them. Let's just do order number, order date, last modified, order total, currency. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm just going to do enough to sort of give you a sense of it all. Let's say paid at link. You can get a lot more detailed, but this will be enough to essentially send it all over. And I'm going to call this test sheet 1. And so now we'll make this guy big again. We'll continue with selected record. So we're back in Zapier. It has now found a test record just to make sure that everything looks good. We're going to continue with selected record. And then we're going to say for the action, we're going to pick Google Sheets. And we're going to choose an event. We're going to say create spreadsheet row, which is usually what you want to do with a spreadsheet if you're connecting spreadsheets. We are already connected to the correct Google Sheets account, so that's great. Then we continue on. I'm going to find my drive, and we're going to choose the spreadsheet, which is Candid Zap Test 1, and the worksheet, Test Sheet 1. A lot of times, it'll usually just be a one-sheet thing. Okay, and now all of these headers that we've created, we will match to the appropriate field that's coming through. And so as you see, I was wrong about this. Apparently, you can name these things anything you want. And you just have to do this mapping one time when you're setting up the spreadsheet or the Zap. So you can take as many or as few of these. You can have them appear in multiple places. You don't have to get everything else. But doing this mapping here is helpful. Currency. And it will probably bark at you if you don't have them all correctly mapped. And last but not least, the link. We'll continue. And now it's looking at the test data. And it's showing the data that comes in. Let's test the step. It's going to send a row. One row was sent to Google Sheets about 0 seconds ago. So this can take a couple of minutes sometimes, or it'll just happen. Oh, but there it is. It popped right up in there directly. It's got all that information. And let's say that's great, but what I want to see is the customer name. No problem. What you can do is you can go through and you can say, let's see, insert one, let's call it, and we don't even have to name it the same thing. We'll call it, maybe misspell it just to show how the mapping works. And now I'm going to go back and configure. And let's see, we'll just refresh the fields. Now we're going to see that we've got customer name. Oh, and it actually annoyingly kind of shifted everything over. That's fine. Can we drag and drop? No, we can't. So we've got to, let's see. Actually, what are we, how are these known? Name, let's go with billing company name. And you can have multiple ones if you need to. Oh, let's block you for now. I don't trust you. And then we'll change this one to order number. And delete that. And so on. Sorry, bear with me. Maybe I can edit this out. And last modified. And order total. And this is actually a good example because it's not going to change the existing rows, but it is going to, oh, maybe you can do a keyboard shortcut. Do we go? Yeah, okay. Oh, no, not quite. But it says slash for field mapping. So you can go like that and then quickly select paid at. Oh, that's great. I should have done that from the beginning. Okay, now we'll continue. And we will retest the step. And this is kind of crucial, like that you're probably going to want to spend a minute or two testing stuff just to make sure it all kind of goes the way you want it to. And then you'll see the new one popped in and it's got our customer name, even though we called it costumer name. So you can have all these things set up the way you want to. You can even, if you wanted to just get real crazy with it, you can say like, let's do custom field 1. You can add all sorts of stuff. We'll go back to configure. I might be getting into too much information territory here, but you can do, let's see here. So there's these things, and then you can add variables. No, I think I am getting ahead of myself, but basically this is as straightforward as it goes. You can just say, this is just some text. If for whatever reason you wanted to do that, as you get more into the weeds, you can add additional steps to things. And Zapier has some really great sort of built-in things like delays and calculators. So this will print this is just some text, but you can do stuff like, let's see, I'll get into that later, or maybe not at all. But let's publish this Zap. That's what makes it go live. And once it's published, it's basically ready to go. And it will save it as untitled. If you go up here and say rename, let's call it Candid Sheets Zap 001. Changes were auto-saved. And now if I go back to my seller HQ and let's find a sales order that is in the inquiry stage, and I'm going to just jump it ahead to approval. Test. No, it's a test account. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 test, Portland, 214. Oh, United States, Oregon, and test and approve and mark as sent. And then as that gets approved, wait for it. It can take a couple of minutes for the Zap to show up, but there it is. Row 5 has just shown up. And if I click on this, it'll take me back to the order as expected. Zapier is an incredibly powerful tool. We don't get any kickbacks or anything from them, but we use it extensively. This is really great for hooking stuff up to your Slack or your CRM or pretty much anything else you want to do. If you ever want to sort of audit the history and make sure that everything's working, you go back to your home and you can see Zap history down here on the left-hand side. This will show you all the times it was run. And what's great is if there's any errors, you can filter for like, stopped, errored, halted. Generally speaking, if you're not touching them, they should be fine. But the risk with connecting any two applications out on the internet together is one or both of them might change their API, and you never know. When that happens, you're not always on the mailing list. So if things break, it's a good idea to check on it if things aren't happening the way that you're expecting them to. Last but not least, let me just kind of show you what can happen if you want to get real clever with this. You can add additional steps. So you go to Edit Zap, and let's say I want to add a step in here. And so we've got all these different apps, but then they have flow controls. So these are just real interesting things. So it's like, if you want to make sure that things are only sending during business hours, you can have something that's scheduled, or schedule is a good one. If you're like, I want sort of a digest of everything that happened yesterday in my Slack or in my inbox at 9:30 a.m. Or you can build a filter. So it's like, I only want to, I'm only caring about orders over $1,000. I only want to see those like sent to the special list. Similarly with utilities, there's just all sorts of stuff you can do. You can, if you don't like the date time format, which can be pretty, this isn't so bad, but it can be kind of gnarly. You can change it to be more human readable. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can have it send emails. You can have it shorten URLs. You can get the weather. Like, it's really bottomless in a way that I find fun. Not everybody does. But that's Zapier in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please reach out to team@candidwholesale.com. But this should work on anybody's plan. As you've seen, it takes a few minutes to set up, but there's nothing particularly technical about it. And good luck. Thanks for watching.